A lot of people ask me this: what do you do with your hands when you are standing or sitting?
I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
Now, in fact, this question is asked that often that it actually came up in the comments section the other day. Now, whether you are a professional, a leader, an entrepreneur, how you use your hands is going to have a big impact on how well you communicate. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you, first of all, some of the common mistakes that I see a lot of people make. Then I'm going to share with you the importance of hand gestures. I'll share with you some tips on what you can do with your hands. And then finally, I'll wrap this up by telling you what I feel you should be doing with your hands when you are standing or when you're sitting. So let's kick things off with a few of the common mistakes that I see a lot of people make when it comes to using the hands in communication. The first one is the clasping of the hands. So this could be like this, it could be with the fingers interwoven, but when we hold our hands together tightly, it can make us appear defensive or like we're lacking confidence. This is then amplified when we start to get stress in a conversation, and then you start to grip even tighter. So you might start to see the whites of the knuckles or the hands starting to rub even tighter, which people will pick up on, and it will make you seem like you are lacking confidence even more, which will make them have less confidence in the words that you're saying. The second big mistake that I see a lot of people making is putting their hands in their pockets. Now, the sat down version of this is where people put their hands between their legs underneath the table. And if you look at my body language, it doesn't look very good. But I know what you're thinking here at this point in time, but you're thinking, hang on a minute, hands in the pockets, that makes me look really cool. Yet maybe at a barbecue with your friends, but the reason why this is especially important in a professional or business setting is we tend to trust people less when we can't see their hands. We look to a person's hands to see if they're concealing something from us, if they're about to attack us. This is why the moment that a magician's hands go into their pockets, you start to think, they're up to some sneaky stuff, which, to be honest with you, they normally are. The third thing is fidgeting, playing with rings. It could be keys, pens. If you're doing a presentation, the old clicker. This just distracts the audience from your message, and it can make you look like you are lacking confidence, like you're a little bit anxious, and maybe even disinterested in being in that conversation. The fourth mistake that I see a lot of people make is overusing the same gesture. This can make it lose its impact, and it can seem unnatural. Like my hand chopping right now. See, when I'm running speaker training workshops and I talk about the importance of gestures, for some reason, some people, they suddenly start using these orchestrated gestures that seem unnatural or a bit over the top, or they might even seem a little bit robotic. When we're using gestures, it needs to be natural. I want you to think of it more like unrestraining your hand movements rather than forcing your hand movements. So why is using our hands and our gestures so important? The reason for this is hand gestures are a fundamental part of human communication. It enhances our ability to convey messages clearly and also persuasively. And as I've already mentioned, we will look at people's hands to assess their intention. We look at their hands to see if they're hiding anything, or am I about to be attacked? Research and studies have shown us that speakers who use their hands more effectively, they can access memories quicker, and they're able to communicate more efficiently. Additionally, gestures, they can help us emphasize important points, making your messages more memorable and engaging. In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 things. With a hand display of 5, will be more memorable and charismatic than me saying, in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 things. See the difference? In saying that, here are 5 tips to use your hands more effectively. Then after I've shared these 5 things with you, I will tell you exactly what I do with my hands when I am standing or when I'm sitting. So the first thing is to keep your hands visible. Now this is when you're standing or when you're sitting. Ensure that your hands can be seen. This showing of your hands, it shows an openness and it helps you to build trust, and it shows that you have nothing to hide. You definitely want to avoid, when you're standing, is their hands behind the back, and I do see this happen an awful lot when people are feeling nervous. The second thing is to use broad gestures, but not too much. You want to make your gestures fit your words. Broad, confident gestures, they can help you emphasize your message and make you appear more dynamic and more engaging. In saying that, my third tip is to stay within the box. Imagine that you've got an invisible box that runs from your chest down to about your waist and to about 6 inches past your shoulders on either side. And as a general rule, you want to keep your gestures within this area to avoid looking frantic or uncontrolled, or even worse, bored as bat. The fourth thing is to show open palms. Open palms, they signal honesty and openness. This simple gesture can make you appear more trustworthy and sincere. And yes, this is used by quite a lot of people in power to try and win you over. And the fifth thing is to be genuine. As I mentioned earlier, our gestures are really important in how we communicate. However, we've got to be really natural with our gestures. There are so many people that through years of holding themselves back and not speaking up, if you think about the old line used by adults and teachers towards kids of sit on your hands and be quiet, we have been conditioned to not use our gestures. So over time, we have become less expressive with our gestures to the point where we've almost started to mute ourselves non-verbally. Rather than force gestures, I want you to think of this as unrestraining yourself. It's going to make your gestures feel much more organic and much more natural and authentic for you as well. So the main title of this video is all about what to do with your hands when standing or sitting. So here is what I do as a general rule. I'll hold my hands in this position. So one hand loosely over the top of the other, over my belly button. This is what I consider as my point of home. Now, because you're going to be gesturing and moving naturally anyway, as you listen, you're not going to be stood like this for ages. So you don't need to think about it. However, if you do start to think about what your hands are doing, you'll become so self-conscious about your hands that it will then start to become weird. Now, if I'm sat down, my aim is to just have my hands in view. If there's a table, I'll have them rested naturally on top of the table. But what I am 100% avoiding is the hands below the table, in between the legs, because it makes my body language, it makes me look like I'm insecure. With all this being said, and to be honest, what I would prefer for you is to take the tips that I have shared in this video and then find what's comfortable for you. Comfortable for you with your hands in view and so that they are ready to be able to gesture as you're communicating. Your comfort in yourself will naturally create comfort in the people that you are talking to. And this is how charismatic people communicate. If you think that someone like Matthew McConaughey or Jennifer Lawrence or Ryan Reynolds, they sit there thinking about what to do with their hands when they're being interviewed on TV, of course they don't do that. If you look at them, they just don't restrain themselves. They are comfortable with their hands just being. So to wrap this up and put a little bow on it, using your hands effectively, it is going to improve your communication. It's going to help you connect better with others, and it's going to help you convey your message more powerfully. And if you can learn to be comfortable with your gestures and keeping your hands in view, you're going to start to notice a massive improvement in your presence, your charisma, and also your impact. So if you have found this video helpful, which I'm sure you have, then you know what to do. I'll see you in another video without some weird, awkward gestures. Bye.